Hello, and welcome everyone to a fabulous Facebook Live. Here we have a dear friend and guest from out of country. Bill James is lives in Canada and drives the roads there, helping pull people out of snowdrifts 500 miles a day. Very dynamic gentleman who was surprised early in his life when he developed a bowel obstruction and has just a remarkable story. So, welcome, Bill. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Larry. How are you?
Good, good.
Good, good.
I just remember that I want to. Everybody wants to hear from you, but I just remember the day that you walked in here. You were all bent over, and you came in on a Friday afternoon. You said, "I know my appointment isn't until Monday, but I just wanted to make sure you were real and let you know that I'm here because I'm obstructing every few days, and I may be in the hospital by Monday again, and I hope I'm not." And you weren't. You came in on Monday morning. Um, we were not able to even see you then. How has it been for you, and what brought you to Clear Passage?
Well, life is great, I have to tell you. Uh, Initially, what brought me to Clear Passage was it's a bit of a story to it, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Uh, Back when I was 36 years old, I had been away on meetings, started throwing up, decided get on a plane, head back home, went to the hospital. They told me I was having a bowel obstruction. So they said, we'll admit you to hospital. We'll do the normal, hook you up to IV, not let you eat anything. And within a few days, everything should be okay. But in my case, it wasn't. In my case, I end up from start to finish 355 days in hospital. Some of it I
300,
don't remember, to be quite honest with you.
300. You were in the hospital 10 days.
355 days, 10 days short of a year,
Oh my God! And this just came out of the blue.
right out of the blue. And the bowel had shut down. So, they said within a week, we should be able to get you back on, soft foods and you'll get back to a regular appetite. But that didn't happen in my case. They went in, they did exploratory surgery, couldn't find anything wrong. I started eating again. I obstructed again. They had to go in then because, in my case, my bowel went toxic, so that had to be removed. And it just spiraled downhill after that. I started losing other functions as well, bladder functions. My eyesight started to decrease. My breathing started to get bad. And it was all based on a neuromuscular disease. It's a rare neuromuscular disease. It's called myasthenia gravis. Attacks about one every 250, 300,000 people. But in my case, it was never known to ever affect a bowel or bladder. And as far as I know, still today, I'm probably the only documented case of it. The doctors do case studies on me at all times. Uh, anyway, that's what happened to me. But because of all the surgeries I've had and the exploratory surgeries and everything, of course, I developed adhesions and scar tissue, which again, it was another, after that year in hospital, it turned out to be every 7 to 10 days at the latest, at the most, that I was obstructing again and I was back in hospital. And it was all due to adhesions and scar tissue.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And one time you talk about one time you went toxic. I don't know if it's what happened for you, but about 1 out of 5 patients return to the hospital within 30 days because when you cut through the bowel, considering what's in there, and the doctor can't see if a little drop or two leaks out and then sews
Yes.
you back up, and
Yes.
then suddenly you have peritonitis and you're gone toxic. Is that? perhaps what happened for you when you went toxic?
No, in my case, I was lucky that that hasn't happened, but have had friends that I've known over the years that have had the bowel surgeries, Larry, and have experienced what you talked about, and it
Uh-huh.
was turned out to be quite the ordeal for them. In my case, the bowel went toxic because I wasn't able to get rid of the stool in the bowel, and after so long, it just, it went toxic and it started putting the poison through my entire body. So it was an emergency surgery, get it out of him, and he'll be fine. But I wasn't fine. Again, like I said, it was quite the long road. But, at the end of the day, uh, I got out of the hospital. Life was good for a few months till I started eating regular food again. Then the obstructions started. And I went through 2 years of obstructions to the point the doctors told me, Larry, and the surgeon says, we're not opening you up. If we go in and we open you up again to clean up any of the scar tissue and adhesions, we're going to do more damage than good. Surgery is not an option anymore for you. So the option they gave me then at 38 years old, go home, give up working completely, go on a liquid diet, and hopefully the bowel obstructions will subside. And I'm a person that looks at the glass being half full. As you know, Larry, we've known each other a long time. And I wasn't willing to accept that. So I got on the internet, the World Wide Web we have, the wonderful thing. And I said, there has to be someone else on this planet that's going through what I am. And a link popped up to Clear Passage. And I tell you, when I walked in those doors, 5 days later, I was not the same man that walked out. Like I said, it was, like you said, I walked in hunched over. I walked out a proud man who knew that my life was starting to go back on track again. And it's emotional to talk about it, my friend. Sometimes, when you think about it.
Of course. So actually, you had a condition that stopped motility, stopped that peristalsis, that moving food down, and then in diagnosing it and trying to figure out what was going on, they did so many surgeries, which
Yes.
surgery is the number one cause of bowel obstruction, widely regarded, that then they really, through their hopefully kindness or wanting to help, created adhesions that started real sort of straitjacket like adhesions in your bowel that started squeezing that shut, and that's where your real bowel obstructions were coming from. That's
Yes.
kind of how you get it.
Yeah. Once the neuromuscular disease was discovered and treatments were put in place for that, all the regular things that were shutting down on me, the organs and that, started to come back, and life was great until, like I told you, I started eating regular food again, and that's when we ended up with the small bowel obstruction issues, because the stomach, like you said, it's the way the adhesions work and everything else. It's just strangling the bowel and not letting it do its normal routine, right?
Mm-hmm. So while you were here, what did we teach you about adhesions and talk to you a little bit about what we felt was going on and what needed to happen and what the prognosis was after leaving here?
Very much so. I have to say, I mean, it's not only the actual hands-on treatment that your clinic gives, it's the guidance that you get from the actual therapists. They're explaining things as they're doing it. They're watching you every moment to see how you're reacting to it, and if it's, and because, like they say, you have to be there, you have to be involved with it, you have to be as much as we are, type of thing. And I just found it to be a great experience. For your own personal well-being, and overall, it was a great experience. They explained every time they went to do a different, but using their hands, what they were going to do. Um, what can I tell you? It was great. I would highly recommend it to anybody, to be quite honest with you, because it look what it's done for me. That's pretty much
I
it.
think one of the things that's different about us that I notice is that we really think of you as an expert in your body, having lived through all this stuff, even though you're not don't have a medical background. We're wanting to check in with you, explain what we're doing, explain how adhesions form, where we're feeling them in you, and then asking you, does that feel familiar? When I'm there, is that pulling somewhere else? Does this remind you of something, a fall or a slide into second base or something? So we really try to be not on a high horse above you, but at the same level with you, the patient, figuring out what's going on and as we're treating you.
In my case, you're exactly right. In my case, the girls are, your therapists as well as yourself, because you had worked on me. You're feeling around, where one side of that adhesion is, you're feeling the other side, and you're breaking it down, and you're doing your magic. And you're always asking the questions. Did you, like as you just mentioned, did you have a fall? Did you have an accident? Because it's not always, from what I learned anyway, from going and having the treatment, it's not always an actual surgery that can cause an adhesion. It's a fall, it's an accident, anything traumatic to your stomach area, right? That can cause this.
That's right.
And tell you, like I said, it you need to, and you don't, a lot of times these things won't even come out till you're in the moment and you're having the treatment. And then, it triggers. Yes, I remember that now. This was something that had happened to me. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happened after treatment? How did that go?
For me, life went back to normal. I have to tell you, the only exception to my life not being normal is, as anything, when you've had surgeries and stuff, there are certain foods that you really need to stay clear of, like seeds, or anything with seeds, anything that's stringy, like celery or stuff like that there, corn, which I loved, that kind of stuff. Anything with skins on it, you kind of stay away from that. But, that's a small price to pay to get back a quality of life.
Right.
My life is great. I'm pretty much on the go 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not because I have to, it's because I choose to. I choose to be busy. I'm not
That's
one of the ones
amazing.
that can say sit home on the couch.
How many hours a day are you working?
Well, my actual day of working can be 12 to 16, but then I go home and I'm doing work there as well. So I'm on the go a good 18 hours a day, every day.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah. I don't know a Saturday. I don't know a Sunday. It's all the same, right? Especially when you're used to working shifts,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, about 85% of the patients who come here, when they're done, they're done. When they've done their week of treatment, they know what to do. They call us if they have a question from time to time, but they're done. For you, who were in the hospital for a year, basically, and had, I think, 10 surgeries during that year when you were in the hospital, created massive adhesions. We would have expected that we wouldn't get everything in the 20 hours. Because you came back, did you not?
Yes.
And how
I
did
think,
you know how did you know to come
well,
back? And
like you said, the lines of communication are always open. They're all your clinics are always glad to hear from patients and how they're doing. And you know, I started having the odd issue with an obstruction from time to time. So I had called in and they said, well, and this was a number of years later, they said, you need what we call a tune-up. You come in for just 20 hours and we'll pinpoint type of thing, and we'll help you out and send you on your way again. And that's basically where it went for me, is that I called in, got the advice, came on in, and but It's not only the treatment. You know, the therapists are diligent and because they're doing their job as treating you for the adhesions, breaking it down. But they're also giving you the knowledge to bring home and do it and continue on your own. Stretching exercises, lying on balls in certain positions, stuff like that there. And that is all key as well. You have, that's what I said before, you have to be very involved in your treatment. And that's from start to finish, and even after the actual treatment at Clear Passage. It continues at home. You need to be diligent and put that time into it. And it's like 20 minutes of your day. It's not like it's a major portion of your day, you know?
That's it. 20 minutes in the
20
evening.
minutes. 20 minutes. Pick a different spot in the abdomen each day and just work at that. And like I said, so 20 minutes while you're watching TV, which I don't watch much of, but or 20 minutes of just having a rest. You know, just get it done and be on your way again.
Because so much of it is just passive, like you said, lying on a ball here for
Yes.
10 minutes and then here for 10 minutes and then that's it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, I've known yourself and Belinda and the Clear Passage family for quite a few years now. And as you're, you know, over the years, you guys are perfecting it. You're finding new things out and you're passing it on to the patients. So, like I said, you know, before when I did it, I was every couple of days I was doing the stretches. Well, we found out, obviously, through experience with your patients and myself, that doesn't always work. For me, the key is 20 minutes a day. Take an area in your abdomen and concentrate on that for 20 minutes. And like I said, eat the proper things you're supposed to eat, exercise properly, try to get a decent balance in your life. And I'm telling you, like, you don't have to listen to what the surgeons always say, that this is the way it's got to be. You have to take the onus sometimes. Make the phone calls. Get on the WorldNet and see what else, because there are alternative ways to deal with situations like I had been in, and I'm sure thousands of other people are on a daily basis. Right? Would you not agree?
I would. I
Yes.
absolutely would. You know, also, and I'll tell this story, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and we get this a lot from the guys that we treat, because somehow the women are the best caretakers. They're the caretakers for their families and for themselves, and us guys, we just we go until we drop, and then maybe I'll go to the doctor. So I remember after treating you, we all felt so good because you looked so great and you were doing wonderfully, and obviously you've made remarkable progress because you're working 12 to 18 hours a day still now, 15 years later. But I can remember, and tell me if I'm wrong, a few months after you left here, I get a phone call. It's Bill. Yes, what's up? Well, I'm in the hospital. What are you in the hospital for? I'm obstructing. And I said, well, um, have you been doing your exercises? Exercises?
No, I wasn't doing my exercises.
Have you been watching what you're eating? Oh no, man, you said I had
Yeah.
steak. I'm eating whatever I want. No, you totally cured me. And it took me saying, no, 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 it's not exactly that. You're going to have to take some responsibility. And like you said, it's just 20 minutes a day.
It's 20
It's
minutes a day.
not huge, but I we learned a lot with you, and it is generally our guys that do that kind of thing, and
Exactly.
it was
Exactly. And you know, like even today, you asked me to be a part of this podcast, which I gladly agreed to, because you know I know that there's still people out there that are stuck in limbo, for back a better word. You know, they're caught in that routine of going to the hospital, getting surgeries and everything else, figuring out that's the only way, and then left with no other option. All I can hope is that podcasts like this get out there and people realize that there is another option. There is another option. Right?
right. What we notice is that people go to the hospital for with an obstruction, and then they come out and let's say they didn't have to have surgery, and the doctor says, that's great, nothing has changed, here's my card, you're probably going to be back. The chances are good you're going to
There
be
you
back.
go.
Nothing's changed. Or they were not that lucky and they have to undergo surgery, and they undergo surgery and they're thinking, phew, thank God that's over. I can go on with my life. And the doctor says, yes, well, actually, surgery is the number one cause of bowel obstruction. You're not totally out of the woods. Here's my card,
Yep.
because this can certainly happen again. And so it's a huge problem in medicine. It is actually, the Journal of the American Medical Association just came out with data showing it is the second most common emergency surgery in the USA.
Not
And
so.
removal of adhesions is the fifth most common. And the bowel obstruction surgery has the highest complication rate. Almost 50% of the patients have complications. An inadvertent enterotomy, where the doctor, and he can be a wonderful, compassionate, skilled physician, but he's trying to cut through and he can't see everything because it's so adhered, and oops, cuts through the stomach wall or another part of the bowel or the esophagus, or the bladder. So an enterotomy. So that's why one of the reasons about 1 out of 5 patients return to the hospital after the surgery to fix something else. We've already
Yes.
talked about the peritonitis and the bacteria that get set free just before, because the bowel was cut just before the surgeon closes up, and the bacteria go, wow, I'm in this warm, moist, dark environment. I can
Yes.
really grow here. This is fabulous. And they
Yes.
do. And so 3 or 4 days later, the patient is in tremendous pain. They cut them back open, generally leave them open, start pouring antibiotics in there and let them heal from the inside out, which causes a massive scar, much larger than the original scar
Mhm.
adhesion. And so we are finding that this is useful, and adhesions are a huge problem in other fields of medicine. Had people say, well, I have cancer and the drugs can't get to the tumor because there are adhesions around. We're trying to figure out, well, should we treat that or can we not treat that? And naturally, we started with female infertility, but every time you have a surgery, these people who undergo heart surgeries or mastectomies, adhesions form up there. And now, gosh, I don't have as much energy. Well, it's squeezing your lungs or squeezing your heart, wherever it is that you have healed in life is where they form. And we we've had 3 doctors tell us we're going to win a Nobel Prize. I'm sure it will be posthumous if that ever occurs. I'm not really looking for that. I'm just so pleased to be able to examine all the different areas of medicine where we can decrease adhesion. So,
I agree, and it's such an important thing. Like I said, you're giving an option where in a lot of cases there is no option left. It's a lifeline. For me, it was a lifeline, and as I know it's been for all your other patients as well. You know.
so some people, and did you go through this when you were having frequent obstructions? Sounds like a silly question. Did it feel like you were walking around like with an anvil over your head, or every one time you look in the mirror in the morning, you're thinking, is this the day I'm going to
Yeah.
die?
Every time you take a mouthful of food, you question it, and it gets that Larry, it actually almost takes over your life. You're to the point, okay, you're watching every morsel of your food you're eating, and then you're, okay, I haven't had a bowel movement yet. I'm wondering, am I going to obstruct? So it affects everything, every aspect to it. And then you can almost at times, and I've been guilty of it as well. I've got myself worked up. My God, it's been a day and a half and I haven't had a movement. This has never happened before, and so yeah, you walk around with this cloud hanging over you all the time, saying, Am I ever getting rid of this thing? Is it ever going to be back to the way I used to be before? And in my case, it did come back. I got
And
my life back.
did the after therapy, was it different looking in the mirror or taking a bite of food afterwards?
Yes, quite so, quite so, because you can feel it. You can feel the difference in your abdomen, your posture. In my case, my posture just went back to what it was. I walked in like a man who was 40 years older than I was, hunched over and everything else. But by you guys working in the abdomen and freeing up the adhesions, I was able to straighten up better. And not only that, you spend so much time, your stomach is hurting. What's the normal thing you do? You're bending ahead and you're holding on to your stomach and everything else. All of that you don't have to worry about anymore because the adhesions, which is the main culprit after surgery and scar tissue, have been treated. And if you follow the rules, like Larry pointed out a little while ago, for the first 6 months, I didn't follow the rules. But when the second time when I went back and I was showing the rules, and now we did tell you, but we're telling you again, this is what we do is obviously the most important. But now here's where your job comes in. You need to be diligent on a daily basis. And like I said, like I tell you, it's a small price to pay, boy, to have a quality of life back and be productive in society.
All right. Well, I thank you so much, Bill. I'm kind of used to all of this. I don't even know where to look for questions on here. There are comments. Oh, there are comments. I wanted to ask mentally, are you not frightened of more adhesions or another obstruction?
Well, I would have to say it's in the back of your mind. How can it not be? You go through anything traumatic in life, whether it be surgery or bowel obstructions, an accident, you carry it with you. It's how you deal with it. And in my case, I chose to not take it laying down, for lack of a better word. I wanted another option. I found another option. It worked for me. I follow my routine to a science, and it works great. But yeah, it is in the back of your mind. But in the back of your mind is a small price to pay when you're not in that hospital bed, right?
Right. This lady says, I had an ileostomy in 1996 where they cut her small bowel and put it back there. Then 6 years later, a small bowel resection.
Yep.
And 5 years later, another resection. So that's 3 surgeries to her small bowel.
Yep.
I haven't eaten solids since October of 2022. So that's about 9 months ago, 8 or 9 months ago. I live a prescribed shake Pepsip. Maybe I love a prescribed shake Pepsip. She says, I wish I had your attitude. Well, so how long did you feel that you really didn't worry after therapy?
Well, the therapy was for 5 days, but in all honesty, after day one, and we had 4 days to go, you could notice a difference at the end of the day. My wife, my everything in life says, you're getting back. That little piece of you is coming back. I can see it. The spark is getting back. You can see that there's some hope here, and so to say how long, Larry, for me it was instantaneous. To be pretty much, yeah.
Good. Good. Any other questions? Can I ask what your success rate is? Yep, I can tell you this. We started we followed the scientific method, which is what you do, and we had to hire researchers to teach this to us. When you find that something is starting to work, you start by publishing little case studies and then multiple case studies, and then you work up to what is called a controlled study, where and hopefully, and we did a controlled study, which was a phase 2, which you have two different groups. And the two different groups were both having recurring bowel obstruction, had both had, excuse me, recurring bowel obstructions in their lives. There were over 100 people in each group. The group, and then we treated them for the 20-hour program, and then we monitored them for a certain period of time thereafterwards. Both groups, the same period of time. The group that we did not treat, out of the 100, 15% had, a little over 15% had another bowel obstruction. Of the ones we didn't treat, the ones that we did treat, less than 1% did. So it was pretty extraordinary. The study was one of the study authors taught surgery at Harvard for 20 years. Now she's moved on to Stanford, still doing surgery. Another was a gastroenterologist, very famous one at Washington University, St. Louis, which is a rather famous research institute for medicine. And then I think Dr. King, the chief of staff of the hospital here, and Dr. Rice. We had several physicians on that study. So I think someone sent you a place where you can review those case studies, and we're glad to talk to your doctor. If you'll just, what we try to encourage people, just complete a medical history questionnaire. If nothing else, you're going to learn a lot more. Tell us about all the injuries, surgeries, traumas, endometriosis that you have had in life. Go ahead and complete that and send it in. It won't cost you anything. We're going to review it. We're going to have one of our directors review it, and we'll be glad to go over it with you and tell you this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. We see a problem about treating you here. We will give you insights. Naturally, we love what we do, and we like helping people without surgery. But we're about the only people I know of that really study adhesive bowel obstructions and what to do about them besides surgery. So there you go. Hope that helps. If we don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and let Bill go, get back to the weather. I was hoping it was cool in Canada, but you guys are getting hit by the same heat wave that's hitting most of North America here.
We are. We're not used to it.
Yeah.
It's quite a change for us, actually. A lot of people are welcoming it. There's a lot of white legs. We're wearing shorts. We don't normally wear shorts.
Yeah.
But, you have to accept the heat and the weather. You can't change it, and you work with it. But I have to say, Larry, I really appreciate you inviting me today to be on this with you. And if anything comes of this, I hope someone there who is going to get a chance to see this or is watching this will take something away from this, that you don't need to. You can ask the questions. You can look for answers. There are places out there that are willing to help you. And you just need to suck it up, type of thing, for lack of a better word, and look out, and they're available. And like I said, I'm living proof of it. I can tell you right now.
Here's a closing comment from me. I'm 75. I wouldn't have to work, but I'm so fascinated. It feels so good to help others. Belinda and I, we don't have any children. She had surgery that basically fried her reproductive tract and created massive adhesions, which is what started us 35 years ago in this. We've had questions come up about food. Gee, I'm afraid to eat anything. call us. You got to be able to. You don't want to eat foods that are going to create a cork. You don't want to follow really the AMA guide for high fiber foods. You want to
No.
things that are going to slip through there easily. But mainly, if we can take off these straitjackets that we're so good at doing, that are squeezing your gut like a coffee straw or like an hourglass, and give you back your life, the relief that you will feel is that we hear from patients is profound. And the return to life, I mean, Bill wouldn't be working 12 to 18 hours a week. He wouldn't probably be alive if we hadn't met you long ago.
Without a doubt, sir. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
You know, like I said.
All righty. So everybody got to make their own choices. Make your own choice, but we do love saving lives, and it feels good. And thank you so much, Bill. I know you saved some just by being here.
Well,
So I'm glad you.
sometimes you have to ask the question, why me? Why am I going through this? And I've asked that question 1,000 times over the years. But, I think there's always something better in store for you. There's another part of your life that you're meant to experience. And in my case, I made sure it happened. and like I said, but you follow the rules and you'll be okay.
All right. With that, I'm going to close down. I think there's no more comments. Thank you. Yes.
No problem. Take care, my friend. We'll be
All right.
chatting soon.
All right. Bye.